Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into some really interesting source material from 3C Corporate.
Right. They're a communication company, but they take this, well, almost philosophical angle on business and how societies work.
Exactly. And our mission today is to really unpack one of their core ideas. Rule right. RR, right rule.
And it's got some reach, hasn't it? The source material shows translations, Chinese, Spanish, German.
Rules, regla correcta, richtige Regel. So yeah, definitely aiming for international understanding.
It's like a formal way to look at how we make rules, how we follow them, and importantly, how we push back against them.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. The basic idea is that laws and regulations are fundamental, right? To avoid chaos, protect rights.
Absolutely. Can't function without structure.
Yeah.
And this leads to what they call providers of power. Think governments, management,
The ones in charge?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
ones whose job it is to supervise, to guide people, they kind of lay out the paths,
Yeah.
the marked paths.
Towards what the sources call harmony of life in community. That sounds pretty idealistic.
It does a bit, but practically, what does that harmony look like day to day?
Good question. What is the tangible result here?
I'd say it means things are stable,
Yeah.
predictable. You know where you stand. The rules are clear.
Okay.
These power structures, they create laws aiming for that stability, but, and this is key in their thinking, 3C Corporate points out straight away that the system isn't perfect.
Right.
Sometimes the laws work, they're adequate. Other times, well, they're unsuited to our expectations, as the source puts it.
And that admission that things can be unsuited seems like the foundation for everything else they build, doesn't it?
Exactly. It immediately sets up the need for feedback. Any rule, even after it's made, can be criticized constructively or, negatively.
So you can't just have top-down rules without some way to challenge them.
Precisely. Without that feedback mechanism, the system just gets rigid, and that harmony they talk about, it starts to break down.
Which brings us to this dual concept, the double R.
Yeah, that need for constant feedback is what drives it. It's not enough to just obey. You have to engage.
All right, let's break down the two parts.
Yeah.
First, rule right. The first RR. This sounds like the challenging part.
That's it. Rule right is the push for good rules. It's the demand side.
Demanding adequate laws, favorable regulations.
Yes. So if you as a citizen, or maybe a group, see a law that's just not working, it's old, it doesn't make sense, it's unfair, demanding change, pushing for reform, that's rule right in action. It's applying that pressure upwards.
Okay, that makes sense. It's how society flags problems and asks for fixes. But, human nature being what it is, isn't there a risk that the criticism, the rule right part, just takes over, always
Yeah.
finding fault?
That's a really good point. And it's why you absolutely need the other half,
Right.
rule, the second RR.
The balance.
Exactly. This is the positive side, the recognition part. It's about actively, magnifying, positively celebrating a law or rule that actually works.
When it's found its place, it's anchoring, as they say.
Right. When it's serving as a basis of homogeneity.
Okay, basis of homogeneity. Let's unpack that jargon a bit. Does that just mean it becomes the standard, the accepted way of doing things for everyone?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like a shared operating manual, as you said earlier.
Right.
When a rule is effective and people adopt it, you affirm it.
And that affirmation helps solidify it as the standard, helps cohesion.
Precisely. So the double R, back to back, it symbolizes this pairing. You need both the push for better, rule right, and the appreciation of what works, right rule.
Constantly searching for understanding, pushing for reforms. It's a cycle.
A never-ending process, according to the source. They're not aiming for static perfection.
And that symbol, the double R, sometimes with a crown, what's that about?
It seems to suggest, the seriousness of it, that this framework applies to the really important rules, the ones that govern how we live together at a high level. Authority, maybe?
Okay, let's talk scope. Because they say anyone can use this, a simple citizen of the world. So it's not just for, political scientists.
Not at all. It applies to daily life, family, relationships, work.
Your socio-professional behavior, they call it.
Right. All these areas demand irreproachable conduct based on basic rules of getting along.
Can you give us a concrete example, outside of big government laws?
Sure. Think about, say, a company bringing in a new remote work policy, a WFH policy.
Huh.
Initially, maybe employees push back. The rules on expenses aren't clear, or the scheduling is too rigid. That's rule right. They're demanding a better, more adequate setup.
Asking for changes.
Then, let's say the company adjusts it, finds a policy that works well, productivity is good, employees are happy. Recognizing that, praising it, making it the standard practice. That's the right rule.
Ah, okay, so the policy becomes the accepted norm, the homogeneity.
Exactly. The concept works for anyone who cares about the good of each one and the others. It's quite broad.
So the ultimate goal, then, of this back and forth between rule-right criticism and right-rule praise is to make a cocktail, an assembly of things contributing to the ideal life,
Yeah, the cocktail seems to be the resulting society, the functional mix.
made from the ingredients of feedback and affirmation.
Right. Trying to create something that works well for everyone. But, and this is important, they immediately add that disclaimer. Perfection is neither worldly nor less earthly.
So aim for the ideal, not the impossible perfect state. The ideal itself might shift over time.
Precisely. It's dynamic.
Yeah.
And to move towards that ideal, they stress consultation. You have to talk to different groups, different perspectives.
Find that meeting point in accordance with the living together.
Yes. And that's where those 5 pillars come in that they mention. What successful rules need to do: cover, protect, constitute, standardize, and help.
Those the benchmarks for good governance at any level.
Seems so. And consultation is how you ensure the feedback actually gets heard and used. The providers of power only really have legitimacy if they respond to that feedback. It's a two-way street.
Okay, this connects to something else in the source material. This idea of acting repeatedly without tiring to either make them understand or make them act. So if I'm just one person complaining about, say, a badly timed traffic light, that's my rule-right feedback. How does my little complaint actually help constitute or standardize anything? Seems like a big leap.
Well, it's about the difference between just voicing a problem and pushing for a structural fix, right?
Okay.
Making them understand is getting the issue on the radar. Making them act is the policy change. To constitute means your feedback actually shapes how the rule is written or rewritten.
Ah, so it informs the actual text or structure.
Exactly. And standardize. Your rule-right criticism might point out, hey, this rule isn't being applied fairly everywhere. Then the right rule side can kick in to affirm how it should be applied universally.
So the constant pressure, the make them understand, is what pushes it towards actual change, toward make them act.
That seems to be the idea. Persistent, constructive pressure.
Got it. Now, before we finish, there's that crucial warning, the contraindication they mention about the double R mark itself.
Yes, very important. The RR mark is symbolic. It's an identifier for the concept.
It's contributory and participatory.
Right. It is not a claim by 3C Corporate or anyone using the concept to actually make laws themselves. It's a tool for analysis, for feedback, for participation in the process.
Assessing, challenging, affirming the rules we already have, not creating new ones under that banner.
Precisely. It's about engaging with the system, not replacing it.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what really strikes me is how this rule framework gives us a language, a structure for something society needs to do anyway.
Which is?
Constantly evaluating, validating what works the right rule part, but also having a clear, legitimate way to demand change when things aren't working, the rule right part.
It really is about continuous improvement, isn't it? Acknowledging that even good systems need tune-ups, need that ongoing scrutiny and affirmation to stay healthy, and, well, aiming for that ideal.
That elusive ideal, yeah. Always striving.
Towards living together better.
Okay, so since this whole concept frames the search for better living as this ongoing cycle needing constant feedback, consultation, aiming for an ideal but knowing perfection is off the table, it leaves us with a really interesting question for you, the listener. The source talks about acting repeatedly, needing to make them understand or make them act. When you're trying to get different groups to agree, whether it's just basic understanding or pushing for real political change, how do you know when the effort to make them understand crosses that line to the kind of pressure designed purely to make them act? And perhaps more importantly, what's the ethical difference between those two? Something to think about.